We're going deep into one of the biggest geographic advantages in history. Really, the foundation that let a small island become, well, the engine of the modern world.
It's an amazing story.
Our mission today is to draw a straight line from the dirt and the sea of Great Britain to its rise as the world's very first industrial superpower.
And that story, it absolutely begins with its location. Great Britain is an island. It's just perfectly positioned off the northwestern coast of Europe.
Right, with the Atlantic on one side and the North Sea on the other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that unique isolation, with the English Channel separating it from France, that was the ultimate head start.
What's the biggest consequence of that separation? I mean, beyond just dodging all the wars happening on the continent.
Well, stability is huge, yes, but it's also a forced relationship with the sea. You just had to get good at sailing and shipbuilding.
For defense, for trade, for everything.
For survival. For fishing. And this meant that, when the big global trade routes opened up later on, Britain already had this huge, deep-rooted advantage in maritime skills.
So they were sea people from the get-go.
Inherently sea people.
Yeah.
Exactly. And on top of that, the coastline itself, it wasn't just a smooth line. It was jagged, full of inlets.
Creating natural harbors.
Countless natural harbors. I mean, these were ready-made, protected docks for ships. It's like geography just handed them the perfect infrastructure for trade.
So if that island protection was the foundation, let's talk about what's on the land itself, because Great Britain isn't all one thing, is it?
Not at all. You can basically split the country in two, diagonally. In the north and the west, you get what we call the Highland zone.
So rugged mountains, hard rock.
Yep. Steep hills, ancient stone. Not great for big farms, but it held two key things.
Wow.
Minerals and fast-flowing water.
But then you go south and east, and you're in the lowland zone.
And it's a completely different world. Gentle, rolling hills, flat plains, and really deep, fertile soil.
This contrast is everything, isn't it? The lowlands are for food and cities, and the highlands hold the power source.
It is. And that layout dictates how the rivers work, which is just critical. The rivers all flow from that high ground down to the sea.
They were the original highways.
They were the heavy haulage system. I mean, before you had trains, how do you move a ton of coal or grain? You put it on a barge. It was so much cheaper.
Which is why the River Thames was so key to London's growth.
And the River Severn, the longest one, connected the deep inland areas right to the coast. These weren't just pretty, they were economic engines.
And the climate helped too, right? All that rain.
Constant, reliable rainfall. It kept those rivers full and usable all year round. In drier places, transport might just stop for a season. Not here.
And how did that feed into industry?
Well, before steam, the very first factories were built right next to those fast-flowing highland streams. They used the water's movement as pure mechanical power.
Wow.
And the mouths of the rivers, what we call estuaries, where the river meets the sea, those were perfect deep water spots for building massive international ports.
Okay, that design is incredible. Now let's get to the real engine room, the mineral wealth. And that means we have to talk about coal.
Absolutely. Coal was the game changer, and Great Britain had massive deposits of it. North England, the Midlands, Scotland, Wales, just everywhere.
But the real luck was that it was easy to get to, wasn't it?
That was the geographic jackpot. So much of it was close to the surface. You didn't need super advanced deep mining tech at first. You could almost just dig it out.
And that cheap, easy coal changed everything. It burned hotter and longer than wood.
So much better than wood.
Yeah.
Once you have steam engines, you can run factories 24/7. You're not dependent on daylight or whether the river's flowing fast enough.
It was the bedrock of the whole revolution.
It was. Entire towns just exploded into existence around these mines. I mean, think about that social shift. Thousands of families moving from farms to become miners.
So this huge, easy-to-get supply of coal is really the reason Britain industrialized first. It was just a flood of cheap energy.
But coal couldn't do it alone. It needed a partner.
Iron ore.
Iron ore. You need it to build the machines, the steam engines, the bridges, and of course the railway tracks that would eventually connect the whole country.
And the real magic here is the synergy. It wasn't just that they had iron, it was where they had it.
Exactly. The iron ore deposits were very often located right next to the coal mines.
Which saves a ton of money.
An immense amount. You need the coal to melt the iron ore. Right.
in
a process called smelting. It purifies the metal. If you have to drag heavy iron ore hundreds of miles to the coal, your costs go through the roof.
But since they had them side by side.
They could mass-produce the tools of industrialization on the cheap. This is what let the country pivot from farming to manufacturing and lead the world in engineering.
That raises a good point, though. Let's not forget the metals that came before iron. What about the ancient resources? Tin and copper.
We are talking ancient history now, way back to the Bronze Age. These were mined for thousands of years, especially down in Cornwall in the southwest.
Tin mixed with copper makes bronze, an alloy that basically defined an entire era of humanity.
It did. And even though iron took over, the skills they learned getting that tin and copper were priceless. The British became experts in deep mining, how to drain water, how to ventilate shafts
So that expertise was then applied to coal mining.
directly, making it safer, more efficient. And copper stayed important too.
Yeah.
They used it to make brass, and crucially, they used it to sheathe the hulls of wooden warships.
Right, to protect the wood from being eaten away.
Exactly. It gave the Navy faster, more durable ships that could sail anywhere in the world. So even the ancient metals played a huge strategic part.
Okay, so we've got the engine room. Let's talk about the support systems. All those new factory workers they had to eat. How did agriculture keep up?
Well, the land was very productive, again, thanks to the climate and the soil. In the east, you had that rich, silty soil, which is just perfect for wheat and barley.
And the West?
Wetter, much better for livestock. So cattle, and most importantly, sheep.
And the farmers themselves were getting smarter. They weren't just relying on good soil.
No, they were innovating. They mastered things like four-field crop rotation, which keeps the soil productive year after year. You don't have to leave fields empty to recover.
That productivity was essential. You need a steady food supply for all those people moving to the cities. It creates stability.
And it frees up labor. If fewer people are needed to grow the food, more people can go work in the factories.
And you can actually see this change in the landscape. Forests cleared for farmland, those famous hedgerows being planted everywhere to divide up the fields.
And before all of this, before coal was king, the real wealth of Great Britain was measured in sheep. Wool was the absolute center of the economy for centuries.
That cool, damp climate was just perfect for raising sheep with high-quality long wool.
And English wool was famous. It was a massive international export. Now here's the connection to the Industrial Revolution.
Go on.
All that money from the wool trade, it didn't just disappear. It created the banking systems, the trade networks, and the wealthy merchant class that was needed to fund the next big thing.
So the money from wool literally paid to build the first textile factories.
It did. And those same trade routes they used to sell wool were then used to import raw cotton. Wool built the financial scaffolding for the Industrial Revolution.
Let's talk a bit more about the climate, because it's not just about rain for the rivers, is it?
No, the temperate climate is a huge advantage. You rarely get extreme heat or deep freezes. That means a stable water supply, not just for people, but for industry.
But there's a really specific, surprising detail here about humidity.
Oh, this is one of my favorite facts.
Ah.
The constant moisture coming in off the Atlantic was actually perfect for the early cotton industry
Oh.
because the humidity kept the delicate cotton threads from getting brittle and snapping while they were being spun at high speeds. It was like a giant natural humidifier for the factories.
That's amazing. And just the general lack of, catastrophic weather hurricanes, long droughts, it just meant that farming and production could be incredibly consistent.
Very predictable, which is exactly what you need for sustained economic growth.
Okay, let's circle back to the sea. Because being an island isn't just about defense, it's about food.
Absolutely. That long coastline meant a huge, reliable source of protein. The North Sea was teeming with cod and herring.
Which was vital for feeding those new cities.
It was. And you could preserve fish, easily salting it, drying it, to transport it inland. But fishing also served as a kind of national training program.
How so?
Well, if you could handle a small fishing boat in those rough seas, you developed incredible navigation and boat handling skills. Many of those fishermen went straight into the Merchant Navy, or the Royal Navy.
And the material for that navy before iron came from the land itself. We have to talk about timber.
Right. Ancient Britain was covered in dense forests. Oak, elm, beech.
And oak was the strategic resource.
For centuries, yes. It built the houses, but most importantly, it built the huge, strong frames of the warships that protected those global trade routes, the wooden wall of the empire.
But that demand led to massive deforestation.
It did. They cut down forests at an alarming rate, which, in a strange way, was another driver of innovation.
Scarcity forced them to adapt.
Exactly. It pushed the country to switch faster to coal for fuel and to iron for building ships.
Which brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, global positioning. Britain wasn't just an island, it was a perfectly placed gateway.
Perfectly situated,
Mm.
right on the major sea roads connecting Europe with the Americas, Africa, and Asia. It was the natural hub for the whole Atlantic economy,
And that created this incredible economic loop.
a self-reinforcing loop. Raw materials like cotton from America come into British ports,
They get transformed in factories powered by cheap British coal.
and then the finished, valuable manufactured goods get shipped back out all over the world, bringing in massive profits.
And that whole system, that incredible flow of wealth, had to be protected.
It demanded protection.
Oh.
So geography didn't just give Britain resources. Its location demanded that it build the most powerful navy in the world to keep the system running.
So let's tie this all together. The real geographic luck here wasn't just having one resource, it was the combination.
The perfect system. It's about coal and iron sitting right next to each other. It's about rivers flowing from the Highlands to power the first mills.
A stable climate that was good for farming and for making textiles.
In a strategic island spot that forced mastery of the sea. It was a self-contained, high-performance system, just ready and waiting for the industrial age.
So think about this. What are the resources your own city or country relies on most today, and what does the geography of your home force you to become an expert in?
Good luck with your studies.